and it's our absolute pleasure to host the inaugural session of our much anticipated bootcamp series Gate Smashers. Today marks the beginning of an exhilarating journey into the depth of technology where we aim to smash through the barriers of learning and unlock new realms of knowledge together. Our goal is not just to spread knowledge, but to inspire, to challenge, and to transform the way we understand and interact with the digital world around us. Now, I would like my co host Monal to tell us about the topic for today and our esteemed speaker for the same. Monal, over to you. Hello, Monal.
For today's session. Tonight, we take our first step. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, carry on, carry on.
Okay. A very good evening, everyone. Myself, Monal, your co host for today's session. Okay, tonight we take our first step into this adventure with a session that lays the foundation of all things tech, that is, the basics of Linux. And who better to guide us on this journey than a true maestro of the Linux universe, that is, our speaker, Anup Sharma. He will be guiding us today and will help make our learning not just effective but truly enjoyable. Before I hand over the virtual stage to Anup, I would encourage everyone to actively participate, ask questions, and encourage with the content. Remember, the more cautious you are, the more you learn. So, without any further ado, please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Anup Sharma. Anup, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, organizing committee. So I think I will start with sharing my screen. So here I don't see the option to turn on my video, else I would love to, turn on the video itself, but it's fine. Okay, so can anyone confirm if my screen is visible? Hello.
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Cool.
Yes, your
So
screen is
guys, let's
visible.
start. Let's start with who am I, right? So I am Anup. So I was privileged to be the part of Google Summer of Code program last year, and I actively contributed into Linux Perf tool. And Linux is something which I really love, right? It's something you can just think it runs on my blood, right? Every day, day and night. And even I'm working at Nutanix India here in Bangalore as a member of technical staff one, and I deal with lots of Linux related bugs and solving queries here and there. So I did my engineering in engineering from Dibrugarh University in electronics and communication. So that was one of the milestone which helped me to get into the Linux, or to look at the Linux from different perspective where I can be the contributor into this, right? So I love mentoring students like what I'm doing today. And apart from this, I get, I have few students whom I'm guiding for the Google Summer of Code, and they have also various doubts, so I'm always open for mentoring. And I love food, open source, and then open source in the sense I love doing open source stuff. I recently went to one Postgres conference, right, meeting new peoples. Here we have lots of meetups and all, so I actively participate in them, and I love sleeping whenever I have some time. So let's start with what is an operating system, right? So operating system, or the OS, is basically a exclusive software that controls the hardware resource of the computer and let the user application run in the fair manner. So what do I mean by computer system? Because we have a hardware. Now hardware has all the transistors, RAM, ROM, all the storage unit, those things, whatever is required for a user application to run, right? If some user application go and takes everything, then that's the problem, right? To solve this kind of various challenges, we have something known as operating system in between, and which basically manage this resource, right? Whatever the hardware has, operating system understand that first, and then it decide like how I should give it to the user application. Now user application can be anything, right? Like the Firefox browser which I'm using right now, the Discord, the Paytm app that we use, VLC media player, the games, and the PowerPoint. It can be anything, right? So operating system is basically is equal to a kernel. We will discuss what the kernel is, and then basically few libraries and some application at the top of which it runs, right? So entire this thing is what we call as operating systems. So some example of operating systems are Linux, one of the open source one. Then we have Windows. I think you all have been using this, or Mac OS, or even the Android, which is there in our mobile phone. That is also based on Linux kernel itself, right? So which makes a Linux a very powerful tool. Or now some example of applications. Whenever I say user applications, are can be Firefox, VLC, Chrome, VS Code, Shell, or whatever the applications that you are running in your mobile phone, right? So let's get into this journey, right? So before that, let's see how the journey of Linux has been started, right? So personally, if you ask me, I was very much intrigued by this journey, what the Linus Torvald has gone through and how he started the Linux. And that's what, even motivate me to go beyond certain things and explore Linux, right? So this is, I don't like putting so many things on the slide, but this is something which I was unable to avoid because this is something, the later or the mail which he wrote during, I think, 1991, right? So Linus was first introduced to the world by Linus Torvald, a great engineer from Poland. So he was at University of Helsinki when he was 21-year old, where they were using something known as Minix-based OS. And guys, all these operating systems, whatever we look at, right? Linux, Minix, Mac OS, everything has some origin of Unix. I will come to that afterward. But just for now, let's assume that they were using some OS and he was not happy with it, right? So what he said is he made a Linux. Then he said that hello everyone out there using Linux. I'm doing a free operating system, just a hobby. And he just believed that he started and he made such a beautiful operating system as a hobby, right? And he said that I'm going to start this, which resemble like Minix. It has a physical layout and the file system as Minix, and I would love to hear your feedback, right? So what is written here? Linux original motivation was to write a terminal emulator for the purpose of accessing the university Unix server. So he began using the Minix operating system, but became frustrated by the licensing constraint, which is limited to the educational use and the. So basically, the Minix operating systems, it was there for the university, but it has some limitations. And at that time, right, 1991, 1980s, so there was a great war going on between open source, this and that, okay? And just for your kind of information, that we as software engineer, we every day use Git, right? Git and GitHub and all those things. But the Git, those protocols, whatever we use, that was also developed by this person known as Linus Torvald, right? So you can see this is such an amazing story. A single man who has just given us this Linux and the Git. These are the one of the, you can say, top softwares which is used by everyone in this world, right? So let's dive into this. Okay, let's dive into this. What is Linux, right? So Linux is a family of open source Unix like operating system based on the Linux kernel. Okay, now I see, if you guys have gone to a little bit of computer science history, then you might know that there was one lab known as Bell Lab in the MIT, and we were, AT&T, and most of the computer science research has been done there, like C program, IBM, those machines, computers, many things came out of that lab only, right? So few people like Dennis Ritchie, who was also the creator of a C program, they has released their first OS, which is known as Unix OS, in 1969. After that, Mac OS, which came into play in 1979, and that's the reason, right? The command that you can run on Linux OS, you can also run in Mac OS. Okay, because both of them are based on Unix OS. Okay, that's something which we must understand. And then we have some DOS, which is again taken by Windows, and then basically Linux came in 1991 by the Linus Torvald, right? So now, what is kernel? Whenever we say Linux, right? Whenever we say Linux kernel, what is that kernel part, right? A kernel is the lowest level of software that can interact with the computer hardware. Okay, so now the best part about being a system programmer, which I do daily, is that you need to understand the hardware as well, right? How the hardware behave, what is the architecture of the hardware, how basically the layout is, and then you need to also understand the user application, like maybe it's a React, maybe it's a Discord, whatever you are using, right? You need to understand how they want to communicate because you are working as an interface layer, right? So the kernel is a very small layer, right? Whenever we talk about operating system, which does, those, very critical part of the entire discussion what we are having today, right? So Linux is a popular operating system which is stable, fast, secure, and powerful. The 90% of the world's supercomputer are powered using Linux. Your mobile phone, you can just think there are so many devices, right? And for me, I worked with various companies so far, right, in my internships and even after passing out from my college. And the companies are offering me MacBook, basically, MacBook Pro or something like that. But even after having MacBook, we don't do any development in MacBook. We basically do SSH into the Linux server, which is sitting somewhere, and then we work, right? So Linux is that famous, right? If you take any cloud application, any cloud native or whatever you say, right? Uh, those Docker, Kubernetes, all those concepts, right? Everything is based out of Linux, or this operating system has a very scalability aspect when it's come to that, right? So it is designed for multi-user. That means multiple users can use it at the same time, and multitasking, right? Multitasking means in my computer right now, this I'm running Firefox, this presentation, then we have the Discord running in, and then of course many other process which support, which is helping me to run all this application, right? So multitasking, so multiple tasks can work at the same time. So easy to share data and program securely. So security is a major concern when it comes to open source software, right? Because your code is open, anyone can go and they can do changes, or they can penetrate, or they can find the bugs, right? So but Linux over the time has been such a evolve at such a great pace, and so many contributors have made it so secure that it is used for cryptography, for banking application, and everywhere, right? Available for almost all hardware. Now this is the important point. Why, if you guys ask me, right, that like, why do you think Linux is so famous, right? Because there are some other operating system as well, like Unicraft, Colibri OS, many new OS also came after Linux. But the thing is that there are so many companies, right, like AMD, Nvidia, and all the hardware company, right, they heavily invest on Linux. And if suppose Nvidia is releasing one GPU board, they will have a support in the Linux first. Okay, so for any USB drive, HDMI, anything, right, everything need to basically see. Now suppose I have connected my mouse to my laptop, then right, there is something which goes on, right, for a few seconds. So that's nothing but driver, so that's a kernel layer. So it need to understand that thing, right? So that program, so that's what I'm talking about. So this major companies, they write all their hardware support in the Linux. So that's why the Linux is a growing community. That's why it is so popular, because Linux, if you have, then you'll get support for all the hardware. You will not have an issue like that, right? Now, some of the common operating Linux operating systems that we have are this, right? Like we have Ubuntu. I think most of you have came to this, and inside Ubuntu also we have many other basically you can say OS inside this. Okay, many other version of it which we call as flavor. Then we have Debian, OpenSUSE, then we have Kali Linux. Now what are this? Okay, so basically you can see the core, I have a Linux kernel, right? There is a core, in the core we have a Linux kernel. And then few people came and they said that, hey, Linux is very hard to use, so let's make it easy, let's add a GUI aspect to it, or let's make it application centric. Okay, am I going too fast, or like, just want to know, guys, is it okay this much pace, or do you want me to slow down?
Yeah, yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
It's all right, right? Thank you so much. Yeah, so you can see now, suppose Kali Linux we use whenever we
Yeah,
want to do any.
someone in the chat just said to slow down a bit.
Okay, okay, cool, cool,
Someone in the
cool. Yeah,
chat.
just remind me,
Uh,
okay?
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine. I will slow down. Okay. So we, like, suppose if someone is interested in hacking and all those things, right? So if you want some tool for penetration testing, for some Wireshark capture, right? So this kind of OS comes with pre-install of those kind of versions, right? Then Arch Linux is a lightweight, and it is used by majority of the developers. Then we have Fedora. CentOS is used by many companies. It is a distribution from Red Hat, right? And Ubuntu is for user like us, right? So every of this flavor has their own importance. Okay, but they are just making the upper layer of the Linux, whatever we look at, right? But the core kernel is the basic Linux kernel is what the core kernel is. And then we have some user, basically they have made an interface which can interact with this user kernel, because exploring kernel kernel as a bare metal is very tough, right? That's the reason. Now let's me demystify this. What is Linux and what is kernel? Because believe me, guys, this is one of the most confusing term that you will ever hear in this community, right? People will say, "Ah, this is a Linux kernel. This is what the kernel is." People will say, "This is a Linux," right? So what it is, right? So the use of term Linux and the kernel instead of Linux kernel. So whenever we are using this term, right, we should use it as a separate, or if you are using it the same thing, then we will understand what it is, right? So Linux is not equal to Linux kernel, by the way, because Linux user space exists, right? So I can't say this all of them are basically whatever we see here. They might not be the Linux kernel. They might be based on something else as well, right? They might be based on something else as well, right? They might be using some part of the Linux, right? So I can't say that Linux and kernel are same. And I can't say that kernel is again the same as Linux, right? There are many other kernel also exist in this world. Like I said, right? The Unicraft, there is something known as Colibri OS, right? So kernel is a smaller part, which is the main part where the memory management, the scheduling part, which will go first, which will go next, all of these things will manage. And whenever we say Linux, it's basically, you can think of a more broader perspective, like this kind of Ubuntu, right? It's a Linux distro. We call it as a Linux distribution, right? So who has the Linux kernel at the core, and they make all those applications or those GUI and all this part, right? Now, even if you ask me, in my laptop right now, I have something known as KDE. Okay, it's nothing but KDE, which is again based on Debian, and again Ubuntu is based on Debian. So there are much things. So if you guys go through this KDE, which is nothing but, you can say, it's an open source tool where you will get a very good visualizations and a GUI, so that you can interact and you can work with the Linux command lines and all, right? So I think this is clear to all of you. If you guys have any doubt, just post them in the chat box. I will take it at the end. So you can see this is one meme, right? That people say that Linux is the best distro, but again, someone said that no, Linux is not an OS, it's a kernel. Okay, so you need to understand this fact, and I think over the time you will guys understand this once we end of this session, right? So now, what is inside the Linux OS, right, or Linux kernel, whatever I say? What is inside that? So if you have a Linux machine, right, like what I do right now, yeah. So if you have a Linux machine, so you can see this is how the terminal look like. I will come to this, what is the terminal and all. But if you have a Linux machine, then I will come to this commands and all as well. But don't worry about this. Then you have this slash directory, right? So this slash directory is something which we call as a root directory, and there is nothing beyond that. There is everything after this, right? So if you see, these are the folders that you will get in this slash directory, right? And by the way, in the Linux world, we don't call them as a folder, we call them as a directory. Directory and file, only these two things, right? File is suppose any file like a media file, any image or anything. This is what we call as file, and directory is nothing but what we call as folder in the case of Windows, right? So you can see we have different I can say directory here, like one we have bin directory, right? So I can go to this bin directory. Don't worry, I will discuss about these commands and all. So bin will have all the user executable programs, the programs which the user can execute, like suppose this iostat. If I want to execute, you can see I will just write iostat, and you can see it is just giving me some data. We will, so I'm able to execute this particular commands, right? And then we have boot is a very important part, guys. Now people ask that whenever I turn on my laptop, how does the OS get initialized, right? Because see, the first thing that should happen in a laptop is, once you press that button, right, what should happen? The OS should get on, and then only your network, your other things should comes in, right? Because everything is inside the OS. But that's not the case, guys. Okay, we have something as a bootloader. Okay, bootloader is again one very tiny program which is there in every laptop, every mobile phone, every device. So whenever you power on, the bootloader basically powers on, and then it starts the kernel or the Linux or the operating systems, whatever we have, right? So you can see I can go to this folder known as boot, and you can see it will have all the bootloader files, okay, like configs, and then whenever your computer start, right, like grep is one of them. Okay, so you guys can go through them, and all of these are open source. Then we have device file. It is, I think, not very much necessary for now, but just to give a brief about it. Basically in Linux we have two things: either we have block or CAD, or we have device file, right? Block means, suppose if anything which is sending a block information in a block manner, like suppose five, like just 1024 block, right? Block as a size. And care is nothing but if it is sending one byte at a time, it's a serial way of communication. So guys, let's not go deep into them, so and explore this, but let's just see some of the important directory. Now this is the very important directory which you need to understand, known as home. Now what happens is, uh, guys, is my terminal visible? Are you guys able to see my terminal? Okay,
Yes,
cool.
it's visible.
So
Yes, it's
yeah, you can
visible.
see, cool. So you can see inside home, I will have Anup, right? Because I'm currently using Anup as a user, and this is my host name. Okay, we will come to this, and then I have Anup and root user, right? Suppose if I have someone, no, some other user who I want to give this laptop to use, his name is Rahul, then you will be seeing one more username here is Rahul, right? So that is nothing but the users that you create. That's what you get inside this home directory. Then we have lib, where you will have the shared libraries, right, which will be used by different applications. Media, removable media. Suppose if I connect one pen drive to my laptop, right, then those details you will get into this folder. And MNT, which is nothing but mounted file system. Suppose if I have my hardware inside my laptop, right? So those kind of details you will get inside this. Opt is basically optional package. If any application has, like if Discord has something optional, then those kind of things. Then we have SBin. SBin is nothing but the binary only, right? Bin folder we have seen, right? It will have the user executable binaries, but this cannot be executed by the normal user. Okay, normal user in the sense I am now Anup, right? I'm a normal user. Suppose if I try to execute any of this, right? You can see it will give me an error that running as a non-root user. So that means, I'm not a root user. So root user has, only the privilege of basically running this files which are under the s bins, right? And then we have srv. Temp is basically a folder where your temporary file will be there. Suppose if this uh, Discord is running in my laptop right now, and suppose it want to create some temporary file about, if I have something in draft or something, right? So those kind of things will be created inside the temporary file directory. And once your laptop is turned off and it is turned on again, this file will get deleted, by the way. Okay, so don't keep any important stuff inside the temp directory. But if you're experimenting out something and you want to just keep it something, and you don't want to keep it for always, then of course use this temp directory, right? Then we have user, it will have the user also. And then we have proc. Okay, proc is interesting one, let me show you. Okay, so like proc directory, I'm going to say the proc directory. So it will have all the processes that are running in your kernel, in your Linux OS. This is whatever I'm having, whatever the process that I'm running. And in Linux, all the processes are assigned with some IDs. Okay, so suppose I can go inside this. Okay, like this one ID. Now this may be some application, maybe this is the Firefox which is running, right? So it needs these files to be created. So these things you can see inside this, right? And I think we have something known as here to IOMEM, right? So these kind of commands are there. If you run this, not IOMEM, I think IOStat is there. So you can look at what are the process, what they are doing, and all these things, right? Now, this is the beauty of Linux, isn't it, guys? That you can see, you can just go and see what's happening inside the software, right? If you see something is wrong, you can just fix it out, right? This is the beauty of open source software, that you can see, you can go, you can debug the program. If there is any problem, you can fix them out as well. Then we have one more folder known as sys. It is nothing but system directory, right? Like now in my laptop, there will be one Bluetooth sensor as well, right? Or Bluetooth driver, like a Wi-Fi driver, and my hard drive, all those things, right? So if you want any informations related to them, then those kind of details you will find here. Okay, inside this uh, so those kind of informations you will find inside this. Like suppose now what happened is now this is a personal laptop, right? But just think this is a server where you are hosting some of your website or some cloud native application, right? And you want to, you know, let me go on to this, right? And you want to know, for how much time your power is on, like whether there is any lock or not, right? Whether there is any sleep or not, right? So all this kind of detail about your device versions, right? Whatever the Bluetooth sensor you have, what is the version of it is, right? What is the CPU, right? I have Intel CPU, so all the details related to CPU, what was the power cycle of it, right? So everything you can get it inside this folder, right? So basically these are the folder which comprise of the Linux OS once you install it into your system. Okay, so now I think I have already shown you command line interface, but now I will try to show you these things step by steps, right? So Linux systems relies on command lines, right? Now what is command line? This is something which I just shown you, right, where I was just writing those all those commands and all those things. So much more than other operating system, despite the presence of numerous desktops environment GUI, people love using CLI. Okay, now I see this is the challenge for a newcomer, right? Many people, many students are still using they're still using Windows or Mac OS, and I asked them that why don't you guys use Linux? They said no, we this command line is very tedious process. I don't know how to learn all those command. I don't know how you got so good at these commands, right? It's just CD, this and that. Why I don't use this? Click all those things, right? But believe me, guys, once you start using command line interface, right, the GUI will be just the worst thing for you. You will love using command line interface, and it will just comes in your hand, and then you can type all those commands easily. Okay, it's basically what we call as hand memory. In your hand memory, it will be safe, so you don't need to by heart those things, and you will see that it is more effective way of using a computer than using a GUI. Now I think you have seen, right? I use so many commands, go to some directory, come back, open some file here and there, right? I did so fast. If I would just do that using GUI, it would take me a lot of time, right? Just double click, come back here, there, and all these things, right? So now what is CLI, right? CLI works almost different. This is also one of the benefit of CLI, right? Now suppose the problem with the GUI is what? Suppose if you are a Windows user, if you go to Mac OS, you will find little bit difficulties, right? If you are an Android user, if you go to iOS, you will find little bit difficulties, right? But CLI is everywhere same. Command line interface is going to be same. You will get this kind of black screen only, and you can write your commands, right? Now, where to type the commands? So this is what you can see on my screen. This is, you can see this bash console is something is written. This is nothing but the terminal that I'm having. Okay, so this is what we call as terminal. Now terminal is a place where it can take the text input and the output interface, right? A terminal is a wrapper program that runs a cell. Now whenever I write something into this terminal, right, how it get executed, right? So there is something on a shell. Okay, so what does the cell does? Shell is nothing but it's a command line interpreter. Now whatever the command that I write here, right, suppose I wrote something known as ls, so it need to be understand by the hardware at the end of the day, right? It need to be understand by them, and then only it will get executed, right? So those things, right? So shell is basically an interpreter which will understand all these commands whatever we are doing, right? Suppose if you are doing double click, right? So someone need to understand, right, what is the meaning of double click, right? So similarly here also if I'm writing something, it need to be understand by the system and it need to give me the output. So how it does it? It is done by the shell, right? So now there are, so now in, and basically shell is also, you can call it as a scripting language or a programming language where you can write this stuff. Okay, you can basically even write your own, like shell is nothing but you can just think, before Python was there, people used to write programs just to automate stuff using shell. Even I also use nowadays as well. So there are different type of shell, but the bash shell is the one which is very commonly used in Linux systems, and there are the T cell, C cell, okay, and other as well, right? So now prompting, right? So an active prompt means that the shell is ready for you to type a command. A bash shell can be customized by the user. So basically, you can see if you press enter, 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 and if you are getting something, That means, basically your cell is active, and the prompt will display as basically your username will at the rate host name, right? So this is my username Anup, right? I have shown you by going into the home folder. There was one user known as Anup, right? So you can see if I do just sudo minus I or something like that, now it has been converted into root user, right? And then it will be the host name. Host name is nothing but the, this laptop name. I gave it as yoga, so that's why I'm getting here as yoga. And then the folder, it will give you the folder, right? Suppose I'm into a folder known as home, right? Then it will, show me that, okay, Anup at the rate of yoga, and I'm into this whole home folder, right? So inside home folder, if I go somewhere, then it will show me that directory path. Okay. So I will just have some water here, and then I will continue. Now this is what it is talking about. Now let's discuss about all these commands. Okay, this bash shell command. Let's discuss them one by one. So now one thing you need to understand is all the commands are case sensitive. Okay. So here you can see I have done this error here. The P should not be capital, right? Now I will show you some of the things like how you can navigate through the file system. Okay. So I want that after this session, all of you should be the Linux user, right? So I will show you like what are the things, like whatever things you're doing in Windows or Mac OS, the same things what you can do here, right? And okay, so there is one command known as pwd. Now what does the pwd command does is it will print your current working directory, like where you are. Suppose I'm into this folder, that's why it is printing me that one, right? Suppose if I go to one folder known as temp, and like this folder, I mean, sorry, I see is folder just for the simplicity, but this we should call as a directory. If I write pwd, then it will show me, okay, this is where I am, right? Home, Anup, temp, and then k8 Ishmesher, right? So this is what the pwd will do. And then we have one command known as cd. I think you have been seeing, right? I was using the cd command, right? Now what does the cd command does? It helps us to change change the directory, right? Change the directory. Suppose if I'm into this right here, now I have one more command known as ls command. What this ls does, it will list the content of the working directory. So wherever I am, I want to see what are the file I have here. I can just write ls here. You can see it is listing me. Okay, these are the folders that I have. Now I want to go to this temp folder. Where is the temp? You will find it out here. Else I won't be able to go there. You can see here we have temp, right? I want to go to this. I will write cd, change directory, and T I will write. After that, I will press tab button. So tab I can use for autocomplete. See, as soon as I press tab button, I'm getting temp and theme, right? So I will just write E also, and then again I press tab, then it will autocomplete. Now I'm inside the tab folder, right? Now you can see inside the tab folder, I have so many folders, right? Which is K8, yeah, right? K8 measure, right? And I'm into this folder, and I can again write ls to see what are the programs that I have. Now, guys, one thing you need to understand is once I write ls, this is the command, right? ls is a command, and now I can give some argument to this command as well, right? Like suppose if I write ls, what it is doing, it is listing me all the files that this folder has, right? I think you all agree with me, right? Now I want to see like what is the size of this file, right? ls minus I. Sorry, not the size. Basically, with I can get the major number and all. But if I write here lih, right, you can see it is giving me, it is showing the same files but in a different way. Here you can see what are the details it is giving me. I'm also getting here the size of the files here, right? 16 kb, this one, right? Now what are the flags that I have used? After ls I have used lih, right? So what is the meaning of this, right? So l will print long listing. Okay, so if I write ls minus l, then it will print in this listing way. If I just write ls, then it will print here like this, right, in a single line. And then what does I does? I basically, if I just see, now I want to know, right? I also don't know what does this I does, right? So whenever you guys have any such doubt, right, just go to something known as main page. There is something known as main page. Just write man and then write ls. Now it will, this is nothing but you can just think of the user manual and the, the rescuer for you whenever you face any issue, right? So you can see here I will get all the informations about these flags. So you can see I means inode ID. So it will print the index number. Okay. So that's what it does. So what I'm doing here, I'm writing ls minus li. So it is also giving me this index number. You can see in the first case, it was not giving me this index number, but I'm also getting this inode number here. And then what does h does? H, see, when I write ls minus li, I'm getting this file size, but it is not in a human readable format, right? It is in a byte. It is directly showing me. But I want it in a human readable format, so I can just write h here. Then you can see I'm getting 1 KB, 17 KB, 16 KB, right? So this is so beautiful, right? So you just need to learn these commands, and once you know this, I think 10 to 15 commands which I will be showing you today, you will become master in this. Okay. So you can see ls will just give me this, and lih, if I do, I can get inode ID and related to user permissions and all, which I will not discuss today. Okay. And yeah, so this is all about it. Okay. And then now suppose I want to create one directory. Okay. I want to create one directory or a folder, right? Like for that, what I can do, I have one mkdir. Mkdir I can use to make a directory. Okay. So mkdir, and suppose name is as suppose fun, and you can see if I press enter, and now if I press ls, then you can see I'm getting one fun as a folder here. Now can I go inside this folder? Yes, I can just write cd fun, and I'm inside this fun folder. You can see now when I write ls, nothing is coming here because I think screen is visible to all of you, right? I have just zoomed in little. Okay, you can see there is nothing inside this, right? Then we have one command known as mv. Okay, now what I want to, let me create one dummy file. Okay, something known as I will just create in dummy.py one file I created. Suppose, okay, I created one file known as dummy.py, and I want to move this file into this fun folder. Now what we usually do, we right click, cut and paste here, right? It is so easy. Just write mb. Mb is for move dummy.py to which folder? Fun. Done. Now you can see dummy is not there, right? Dummy is not here in this. But if I go to the fun folder, I can get the dummy.py here, right? So that means I'm able to move it from old directory to new directory. Now cp command is to make a copy of it. Okay. Now we have dummy.py inside this fun folder. I want to take it into this k8ish measure as well, right? Into the previous directory here also I want the dummy. So suppose I go to this fun, and now I will just write cp dummy.py, and then if you want to go to back one, right, back one directory, then what you need to do, dot slash. If you give, then it will automatically go into back directory and it will paste it there. Now you'll be able to see, if I go back, you can see I'm into the fun folder. I want to go back, I will write cd dot back, sorry, slash, right? And you can see I'm into the back directory, and here I'm getting this dummy.py as well, so it has been copied. So this is the beauty. Now again I will do cp dummy.py into some other folder, maybe home, Anup, right? That's where, then you can see, then I will just write temp, and so inside temp now I have suppose some folder where I want to paste it, suppose into this folder known as IEEE, right? So you can see now this will be copied in this IEEE folder. Now, do you guys know what is the benefit of using Linux? Now, see, I have copied this file into some IEEE folder, right? Now, being here, can I see that file? Yes. I'll just write ls minus lih. Now I will write that directory path, home, Anup, temp, right? I remember it. And then it was IEEE, right? If I do this, then you can see it is giving me, all the files inside the temp IEEE folder. And you can see I have dummy.file also there. At what time, what is the size, I can get all the information, but I'm still into this folder. See, I have not moved out of this folder, right? So it's so beautiful whenever you are doing any Kubernetes works or anything, right? You can but just be in the same directory, you can here and something, you can then execute your commands again here. Then we have one command to remove the directory, right? So this is to remove the file rm, and then you have I think it's already 7:45. I need to get a little bit faster, guys. And okay, so then remove I will not show. You can still try this command. And now I'm into the skate measure. Now I want to create one file. Now for that, what I can do, okay, so displaying the, so I can use something known as Vim. Okay, now what is Vim? Vim is nothing but a code editor tool. It is external. You need to install the Vim. So you can see now like how you guys use VS Code or you guys use PyCharm and all these things, right? Similarly, in the terminal, we have some, there are others as well like Nano and all, but I love this Vim. Okay, Vim and Neo Vim is there. So I will just write, I want to create one program known as suppose dummy one.py. Then I will just create something like this, right? And you can see now this command is there. Now basically the file, I have opened this file, and now I can insert this. I can just write print hi, something like this. And then you can have, lots of plugins installed here. Now what I can do, I can press WQ to quit out of it, and I can just write Python 3 then dummy.py. I don't know whether I wrote a correct program or not, because I'm the dummy one. Okay, you can see the high is getting printed, right? So this is how you can use such kind of. And now suppose I want to know what is there in this dummy1.py, right? I want to know. Okay, and now I will remove this dummy.py, the previous one. So rm, fed rm, you can see the dummy one is removed. Now I want to know what is there inside the file without opening it. I can use cat command dummy1.py. Then you can see whatever is there inside that, it will show me out. So if I write cat hello.c, then it will show me what is there inside the folder cat. So I don't need to double click, open it, or something like that, right? So now to search something, right, you can use grep, you have find command, this kind of commands are there. Okay, let me quickly show you these things. Okay, so you can see this is how the linux when once you download the, or once you clone the linux repository, this is how it look. Then you need to compile it, then only those folders you will get whatever I have shown you, right? Now suppose this is, just think this is one rep, and now I want to find something, right? You can just write find iname, and then just you can write you want to find, suppose I want to find perf, right? So wherever there is a perf, it will just give me, right? So now I want to basically, what I want to do is I want to grab some keyword, like suppose linux, right? Into some folder, suppose documentation, right? Into documentation, I want to grab wherever there is a linux documentation. Then I need to go to device, so I need to go to some folder. You can see wherever the linux word has been used inside documentation, it is giving me, right? So guys, these are nothing but once you practice like at least for a month or so, you will get hands on with all these commands. And whenever you face any issue, right, just go to Google and you'll get an answer, right? And you can use w8 to download some file from some web page and all these things. And make and for few more things, like we have history command. If you write history, then you can see whatever the commands that you have executed. Okay, so those things you can find out here. And then we have pipe. I think here is a typo mistake, so you guys can explore what the pipe does. Okay, then you can use tab for auto completion. And then if you have some zip file, you want to uncompress it, right? So there will be, different method of compressing and uncompressing it. Okay, suppose if you have like some tar file, okay, tar dot file, and you want to know how to uncompress it, so just write how to uncompress, how to tar, how to, you can just search in Google, uncompress tar file in Linux. Okay, if you just search, then you will get an answer. Like suppose, okay, this is the command I need to run. Then just run tar into your system. If they're not there, then it will ask you to install it, right? Then we have many package manager like sudo apt install, right? Now this is an Debian based Ubuntu based system, right? So they use apt install. Suppose if you are into CentOS, which is another distro, they will have another package installed, right? So there you need to do, suppose yum, right? Yum install, suppose Python 3, something like this. Now, why we are using this sudo, right? So if you don't give sudo, right, then what will happen is, let me show you, apt update. Okay, so you can see it is saying me permission, right? So I'm just trying to update all my package, okay, all the software that I have in my laptop. So basically, I need to be a root user in order to do that. Okay, so it will ask a password. So I have already given the password previously, so that's the reason it is not asking me. But there is a timeout, else it will ask me a password that, hey, please enter the password. And once you enter the password, then only it will allow update all the package. You can see my packages are like, suppose Coccinelle package is getting updated, Ubuntu is getting updated, right? And so many softwares. Basically, it's just like, updating the softwares. Okay, so this is what the package manager do. Okay, so here for I have apt package manager. So if you are using some other distro, they will have other package manager. That's what you need to understand before using it. Then I think we have, so then we have one echo command. So basically now you can set some variable in. Okay, like echo home. If I write, then it will just, uh, suppose this is a variable I created, right? So I can, Anup, and I can just give it as some name, suppose home, something like this. Okay, so I gave something like this, right? Then I want to print this variable, right? Then I can just write here this uh Anup. Then you can see it will print me whatever I have wrote here. Suppose after this, if I write something like this, if I print, then you can see that things is getting printed here whenever I do the echo. Okay, cool. Then you guys might be thinking that how I'm clearing this screen, right? I just do something like this and then my screen get clears. How I do it? So I just write C here. Okay, basically I do C. Now, basically it's not the C, okay, which is clearing my screen. Suppose if there is something on my screen, then we have one command known as clear. Okay, you need to write this clear command to clear your screen. But can you guys now how I'm clearing using C? Okay, or now maybe when you guys are new user to the Linux, then you might want to might be you don't like this cd command or something and you want to create your own. How you can do this? So basically we have something known as bash rc here. Okay, one file is there, bash rc, where you can create aliases. Okay, so you can see I have created few aliases. Like, see, I'm a very lazy person. I hate typing this clear. Okay, I even hate typing this. So I've created one alias known as c. So basically, alias c is equal to basically this clear. So this, even if I'm typing c, that means it's a clear. Okay, you can see I have created few other alias as well. So this is a kind of hacky thing which you can do to just do your operation faster. Suppose if you know that, okay, I'm using this command a lot, right? I'm using this git command a lot. Why don't you create an alias and then you just write here anything into the your alias into the screen, and then it will do its job, right? Now, just one more alias which I love created it. Basically, what happened is, see, if I'm going to create one folder, right, then I'm sure that I want to go inside that folder. So what I do, mkdir demo, right? I create, then I do cd demo, right? There are two commands I need to use. So many times I know that if I'm creating some folder, right, then I want to go inside that folder only. So how I can do this? Okay, so I created one command known as mkcd. Now suppose mkcd, if I write run, then you can see it has created that folder as well, and it has went inside that folder as well. So this is the power of aliases, what we have in this basically Linux, right? You can create your own commands, you can create the own way of doing things. Okay, so now guys, let me deep dive into it a little bit more. I think it's 7:50, less time, but let me go into now the internal of little bit of Linux, right? So, guys, now see, this is a very important thing which you need to understand as a computer scientist or a computer developer. Like, what system programming is to us, it's same as architecture for the civil engineer, right? Like for the civil engineer, this is what everything, right? So, if you guys know Linux or if you guys know the operating system internal, right, it will help you a lot where you. Okay, so you can see this is one of the excellent thing. I don't know who created this, the person name, but you can see here he has given a kernel map. Okay, suppose if there is one a network socket created, right, how it goes from, what are the system calls that has been done, how it goes from each layer to another layer and how it get executed, right? And even he has linked all of them to the code base. You can see this is the Linux code base. He has linked everything, right? So you can see these are the things which happen, right? Processing is what is something happening in the Linux, the memory management, right? How much RAM to how much RAM to reserve, storage, your hard drive, and the networking, what happens, right? So he has created this beautiful map. So you can just go here, you can click on any of them, you can see, and it has also shown here that user space application to virtual bridge logical, how it goes to the hardware and to the electronics at the end of the day, right? So entire map he has given. So you guys can go here and you can explore this, right? So it does not matter what engineer you developer, whether you love doing something, right? Go and explore system engineering, right? Because this cloud native applications, whatever you will be running, right? Now let's look into some of the internal things and some more exciting things, right? That suppose you are a cloud native developers and then you have developed which is based on, right? Now you want to debug that program. Suppose your program is running slow, you want to make it fast, because this is the kind of job that you will get once you join any company, once you join any startup, right? They want to make the thing faster, they want it to run faster. Now how do you debug any things, right? Let me show you and let me take you to the world of debugging. Okay, so now I wrote some simple program for you guys here. Okay, so there is one program here you can see known as hello.c. Okay, now what is there inside the hello.c is, it's a simple program, right, which is printing hello world, right? Now guys, what exactly happened, do you guys know that whenever I execute this program, see basically I have this user space. Okay, user space is where I have this code. So once I execute this code, right, in my user space, so all this compiling, linking, all those things will happen. Then at the end it will send one system call to the kernel. Suppose if this is my kernel layer, right, and below kernel I will have my hardware, right? It will send some system call, some, and I know that system call is write system call, and the kernel will basically understand that write system call. And suppose hardware means what, I have a display, right? Like my laptop has a display, one display. So then the kernel has a driver and it will have a register address where I need to print this stuff. Okay. So that will get translated into that and then it will into the driver. And that's how it is shown in our screen, the hello world, right? See, so many things happen. It looks so easier, right? But so many things happen. Now you want to know how does this flow? Okay. You are debugging something. Okay. Then what you can do is, like, suppose let me first of all compile this hello world.c. Now you can see a.out file has been generated. Now stress, it is just to see the system calls. Okay, what are system calls? Basically it is an API which the kernel provide, through which you can interact. Okay, suppose you are developing any application, you want to interact with kernel, you basically develop system calls. And now you want to see the system calls whenever you are executing this hello world, right? Whenever you are executing this hello world.c program which is printing this hello world into screen. So how this is happening? Okay, sorry guys, I'm going a little faster, I don't have any options. Okay, maybe we can do some further session, but just bear with me. Okay, so now stress. Okay, I can use this command known as stress a.out, basically a.out, and you can see I'm getting all these details here, right? So what are this? You can see this is some exec cv. This is nothing but one system call which has been called out, right? So this exec cv, you can see, you can just go to the manual and you can see what the system call does, right? Then you can see one block access, then memory has been allocated, right? And then some protection system call has been made, and you can see at the end there was a write system call, and this is what is sent to the kernel. And you can see here in the write system set, and then the whatever the length of the buffer, and then the length of that string which I want to print. Okay, so this is how you can debug program at the greater extent, right? And you can see we have some other commands as well, like I have one as, we have one top. If you write this command, you can see what are the programs running in your system and how much CPU memory they are consuming. And suppose if I want to kill some program, I can just kill, and I can just give this process ID, and I can kill those process. Okay, and yeah, by the way, in the next program we call it as a process. Like it's a Discord is one of the process running, Firefox, right? These are the processes which are running in my computer. So it's come so handy whenever you are suppose you have write some application, it is slow, where it is stuck, you want to know more about it, then for that you can use perf tool. Okay, so you can use perf tool, and even you can see at a very deeper level inside. Okay, that what's happening, which is taking, like suppose discord का कौन सा कॉल ज्यादा ले रहा है, right? discord का कौन सा वो मतलब you can go into very deep inside there and see, okay, this is where the bottleneck is. Okay, I will go back and I will change that code. Okay, so this is the beauty of using it. Then you can see we have some command known as the IO stats, which will give you whatever the input and output that is happening to your drive, right? Suppose I have this NVMe, which is my hard drive, right? Like what is the input, how many read is per second, what is the write happening per second. I can look into those things. Then I have MP stat, which is just to look at the memory related stuff. And then we have ping command. I can use ping to just see whether my network is I'm connected to some network or not, right? Ping 8.8.8.8. I can do this. You can see it will just ping, it will just send some packets, and I can see what's happening here, right? In the similar way, I can just do ping www.google.com, right? And you can see whether your internet is working or not, or whether you are able to call that website or not, right? Similarly, we have DD commands and all. So before I end, I just want to show you one more part of debugging. That is how you can debug using okay. Now GDB is a great tool. Now see guys, if you have installed something and you want then just write GDB help or any program help, then you will get to know more about it, right? Either you can go to the help, like suppose you want to know more about IO stats, right? What are the commands line argument it accept? Then just write IO stats // help, or you just write main IO stats if you want to know more details about it. Okay. Now, yeah. Now, how to like debug a program using GDB? Okay, so you can see now how to debug a program, right? Now you can see that there is one file known as 0.c here, right? So if I just try to compile that one 0.c, and if I try to execute that file, you can see I'm getting a error here. Error means I'm getting a compile runtime error, that floating point exception and some code dump has been error. Now this is my program. Okay, now this is a simple program. Bug here, but let's just think it's a complex program and you don't know where your bug is and you want to debug it to solve this bug. Okay, so I'll tell you what the problem here is. See, or let me tell you through the program. Okay, I think that will be interesting. So what I can do now is, now I have one tool known as GDB. I'll run that program, that a.out, which is my this 0.c file, using GDB. Okay, now my GDB has been started. Okay, sorry, I think I need to do one thing. So before running into the GDB, uh, we need to basically execute it as basically whenever we are doing this GCC compilation, right? We need to I don't remember the term, but we need to basically enable the binaries, okay, so that I can use it in the GDB, because these are basically straight version. And so I have this debug bounty, so I think it's GCC minus G flag you need to use. And then I think, yeah, so now I think this is a debug. Basically it will add the debug binaries. Okay, now suppose you don't know, right, what it does, just write GTDB help, suppose GCC help, right? And you will come to know, right, what does a G will do. Okay, that's the thing. So now, yeah, now let's me go into this. Now this is the debug bug, and this a.out is I have. So I'll just write GDB a.out. You can see now I can see my programs, what is there. And now I want to execute this program line by line and see what's the bug in this program, right? Why it is throwing that error, that some floating point exception or something, right? So now I can set some breakpoints here. Like I can just say a break main. Okay, so it will set a breakpoint in this main function here, and now I can execute this one by one. I can just say next. Okay, so it will come to the, okay, so sorry, I need to do the run. Now I will run, and now my pointer is here. So it's such a cool thing, right? GDB, I can stop my program there and it's running there. I can just do info local to see what are the thing is. I will just do next. You can see it has run one by one line. And now if I do info local, I can see, okay, the X value became 5 here, right? So it's 5. And now it is into this Y. I will do again next. So Y value has been also set to 0. Now see, and now if I do next here, see, it has thrown me it has thrown me an error here, right? Program receives signal this arithmetic exception here. So I can know that there is some problem here, right? You can see after that my control directly came here. So what's the problem? Now I can do this info local, right? After only running the program again, right? Break main. And if I do here, next run, and then next, and then here if I do info local, then I can clearly see that my y is 0. And if you divide anything by 0, then that's what the one kind of bug is that we have in the basically this world, right? We have basically you cannot divide anything by 0. So that's the reason you were getting this error whenever you were running this program. Okay. So yeah, guys. So this was all about me from my side. So these are some of the resources that you can follow. So man page, don't forget to go to this if you have any problems. And this is one of the course by one IRL faculty, very nice. And this is the book which I love most by Robert Loves and this kernel repository. Here you will find the kernel related article. This is one of the course which is by Linux Foundation on known as LFD 201. You can do this one. There's one YouTube playlist for learning virtual. This is where you can get the mailing list. There is one bug fixing mentorship program unpaid in the LFX. I did this program as well. You can go ahead this. And this is one Linux Insider book. You can follow all these resources. Okay. So this is all about me. And thank you so much. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and just scan this to go to my website. It has not been developed entirely yet, but yeah, you will find some info. Okay, so I think we have more 4 minutes here. So I'm ready to take questions and all these things. Yeah, I will share the slides with you guys. Okay, don't worry. Share the slides, and then I think you can go through this. Yeah. Any questions? Hello, organizer.
Yeah, some people I can see are typing in the chat, so maybe they are
Mm.
there with
Somebody's
their.
asking what is the difference
Okay,
between
so there's.
bash, sh, zsh, and shell, right? So these are nothing but I covered it in the presentation. These are nothing but basically environment you can think where you can execute this command. Okay, so there are different environment. It's just like a virtual box you can think, or in the case of Java you have a JVM, right? So similar, it's a shell, so it will have some memory unit, some logical space, so that's where you can run the things, right? So bash is the most popular one. ZSH is widely used in the this Mac OS, right? But the all serve the same purpose. No, someone is saying when we are saying Linux, it means kernel only. No, Linux and kernel are both different thing, right? That's what I think I told you. Kernel is a very core part of it. Okay, the one which is running into your system. If I just go to and if I think I have started sharing my screen again. If you just go to this kernel.org, okay, and once you go to this kernel.org, is my screen visible? Can someone confirm? Yes. Okay, so if I go to this Git tree and if I just go to any of the minus world, so yeah. So this is now where is the tree? Yeah, this is what the kernel is, right? This directory we can see this folder. I have given this also in the resource. This is what the kernel is, right? Now at the top of this, people can write Ubuntu, Fedora, just to give the GU. It will have all the things to do those magics, right? Is Vim a code editor tool only? Yes, Vim is a code editor tool like how VS Code and other code editor tools. Yeah, any other questions? But Veeams is very flexible, right? Just try to use Veeam or NeoVim plugin. I was not able to show you those things today, but it will, improve your productivity. Right? That's the one of the reason why developers Linux or these kind of tools, right? Command line tools, because it improve your productivity. You can be very fast. You can be very efficient. You can just debug the things on the go. No, no, Rima, like dot slash, right? This will take you to the previous folder. How Linux is faster than other OS? Okay, very good question asked by Anupama. So Linux is faster than other OS because it has lots of less overhead, right? Now, if you just go with Windows and all those things, right? It's full of GUI, right? Windows is made for like bankers, right? Who don't know computer science, to be very honest, right? GUI is made for whom? Like who don't know how to use these commands and all. To be very frank, right? So Windows has served those purposes, right? So it's a very heavy. Windows has lots of GUI applications, those things, that's a beautiful thing. See, whenever you turn on the Windows machine, those folders, right? Those graphics and all those things, which is making it, very bulky, right? At the same time, Linux is very, you know, streamed one, very stripped one. It has only the necessary things. And then this, the things which are developed at the top of it are very they develop it in such a way that it is much streamlined. Okay, so guys, I need to join some other meeting. Okay, so thank you so much for attending. I will be here Slack. Okay, feel free to ask all your questions. We can have one on, and I will try to answer all your doubts. Okay, and stay tuned. I think this is the program which will run for several weeks, so I will be there. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye, take care.
Thank you, Anup. Okay, so we are going to have a small quiz session now. Question live कर दो.
Okay, fine.
Three people are having connectivity issues, I guess. 39, 40. Let's start. फिर गिरेगा नहीं तो.
Okay, okay, started already. What is the primary function of Linux kernel?
What is the primary function of the Linux kernel? अभी तो सिखाया था.
अरे वाह,
Okay.
53%. Okay, 47%. Nice.
नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन चलो चलो.
नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे जाते हैं.
Which
Which
command is used
command is
to
used to
navigate?
navigate to the directory home user?
खेलो
मुझे तो
दिमाग से.
सेकंड लग रहा है.
प्लीज.
So first, 60%, 55% people are smart.
Then you.
Which command displays the contents of current directory? Nice, interesting question.
ये तो इजी है, इसमें तो 100% कर दो.
हाँ, लेट्स सी, 100% एम करते हैं. देखते हैं कितना को आता है ये. अरे यार.
ये देखो, more movement in my life.
What does the cp command do?
ये नहीं
Okay.
कर पाए तो मैं जॉब छोड़ दूंगा.
Come on, folks, startup गिर जाएगा. Please do something.
अरे कैच तो वही था, मैं तो जॉब ही नहीं करता हूँ. Anyways.
अरे
बच गया सोनू.
Okay, next question. Next question.
Oh, Sanjeev is at the top. Nice. Which
Okay.
command
not
is used to
considered.
create a new file named myfile.txt? ये तो आना चाहिए. निमेश को भी भगाओ. How is he playing?
फोन से ज्वाइन किया। नाइस।
Okay.
अरे कितने क्वेश्चंस है? What does the sudo command allow you to do? ये तो मेरा फेवरेट कमांड है.
Yes.
ये तो हमारे वो कंटेंट में ही था ना, सुलो सा जिंदगी। नाउ यू शुड डू इट।
Now you do it.
हाँ,
Okay, nice.
read the caption. Okay.
Which of the following is not a basic text editor in Linux?
इनमें से तो दोनों तो हमारे स्पीकर साहब दिखा दिया ऑलरेडी। बाकी तो यू गाइस आर स्मार्ट।
फोन
शुड
फ्रेंड
बी।
मत करने जाओ.
हाँ।
People know. Which command is used to edit the terminal section?
एक कोर टीम के लोग ना स्वैग के
Nice.
edit, ठीक है,
One
उसके बाद
Core
participant
team is
voted for log out.
सर का थोड़ा आगे निकल गए. Which of the following is not a common distribution?
ये ये गलत हुआ तो मतलब सेशन कराने का कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनेगा। ये नहीं हो सकता भाई।
सेशन का सवाल है.
Not bad, not bad.
Okay,
परसेंट
okay.
पीपल
Yeah.
राइट, चलो ठीक है एटलीस्ट।
Ubuntu कैसे लिख भाई? What does root refer to in context of Linux?
ये भी आना चाहिए. The word itself has its own meaning.
Yes. चलो हिंट भी
ये तो गलत हो गया.
ये तो अनर्थ हो
दे
गया।
दिया. How do you update package lists for upgrades and new package installations in Ubuntu? Okay, the people who use Ubuntu very
Stuck with info,
frequently will.
there's something else, or there are many packages like apt-get. There is something known as snap as well, so you can try it out as well. Anyways, next question.
What is the command to view the contents of a file?
Should I
Nice.
hint? Should I give a hint?
Interesting. एक डॉग देना चाहिए था ऑप्शन में.
हाँ। नाइस।
अरे यार हिंट दे दिया, फिर भी लोग रीड कर रहे हैं. Which file system type is commonly used in Linux installations?
लास्ट ऑप्शन तो काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है.
लेकिन वो होगा।
किरण गुमराह करते हुए 6 पार्टिसिपेंट्स को.
सक्सेसफुली गुमराह.
Which of the following
Which
commands
of
will
the following?
to display current working directory?
हम्म,
अरे यार ये तो
ये
आना
भी आना चाहिए।
ये तो क्वेश्चन में आंसर छुपा हुआ है भाई।
चाहिए। हाँ एग्जैक्टली क्वेश्चन में ही आंसर है।
Last but not the least for today, and then we will move towards leaders board, excluding the members who are already in the CNH team. So Nimesh and Deep will be ruled out overall. बाकी का हम लोग देखेंगे.
What does the command chmod plus x file name do?
Nice.
Okay. Leaderboard
So
show किया निमेश.
leaderboard sir, please.
निमेश को ऑलरेडी
Valid
आंसर्स
for
पता था, निकालो उसको पहले।
इसका
bracket में
स्क्रीनशॉट ले
लिख
लो.
रखा है देखो valid for swags.
इसका पहले
वैलिड
स्क्रीनशॉट
फॉर
ले लो.
स्वैग, नॉट वैलिड फॉर स्वैग।
इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो पहले. एंड फर्स्ट मैं तो कंसीडर करूंगा अमी इज द फर्स्ट वन, स्वर्णो कोडर इज द सेकंड वन, एंड सौमदीप दास इज द थर्ड वन. ओके, इन तीनों का इन तीनों का नाम नोट कर रखो. um,
कांग्रेचुलेशंस एवरीवन, आप तीनों फोटो कल फर्स्ट पेज पे छपने वाला है।
कहाँ पे?
एनएच में।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, like guys, those three people, please DM us your name and like everything, ताकि हम लोग कांटेक्ट कर पाए. Yeah, make it
वेयर
for
वेयर
us.
टू डीएम?
Discord
Discord
itself,
obviously.
DM या फिर वो
विच चैनल?
लिनक्स वाले चैनल पे नहीं. You would love to. Okay, just at least tag us, the organizing team, so that we can keep a track of it. And again, I would really like address that people who will be joining every session of this 7 week boot camp will be eligible for a special swag. So please stay tuned, and like we will learn exciting things like today. How was the session, guys? Overall, like what are your thoughts about the session? How was the speaker overall? And like did you learn something new? First of all, that's our only concern. Okay, swags मिलता रहेगा, everything will be like okay, but सीखना सबसे important है.
ये सब तो मेरे लाइन्स है।
ठीक है, सीख रहा हूँ आपसे ही. तो yes, you are the second one. Congratulations, Swarnodeep. Ami,
We need the photographs of all the three winners also. We'll post about you. And please give us your Insta handles as well.
जो भी है, like every social handle, please send it to us.
Yeah,
बाकी
Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, ये तीनों तो बहुत जरूरी है। Facebook, I don't know.
developers don't use Facebook usually, so can't comment on that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
बस कोई स्नैपचैट मत दे देना प्लीज, आई एम नॉट टैगिंग यू देयर।
Questions, yeah, we can send it if possible. Okay, I can actually okay, Nimesh, can you just, Nimesh and Sanyukta, I'm talking to both of you, like if you can paste the questions over there, it will be really helpful.
Yeah, we'll actually make a doc file and share those.
Works. हाँ, और how to send the images. um, काम करो ना, मुझे ही भेज दो DM में. ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. यू कैन सेंड द डिटेल्स टू मी, आई विल फॉरवर्ड इट टू द टीम. Yes, you are one of the winners. Like we have considered top three according to our leaderboard. It was Swarnodeep, me, and there was someone else as well. I just forgot the name. Nimesh, can you just tell me the third one?
Shomadev Das, I was.
Okay, yeah. So these three are the winners for the quiz, and those who couldn't grab the top spot, don't be sad. We will conduct more such quizzes in the upcoming sessions, so there's always a room to win. And of course, like as I said, the lucky winner uh, who will be attend like there will be a lucky winner who will be attending every session possible. So he or she will get a uh, like exciting side. So be ready. All right. I think
Yes, there is a eligibility criteria for that.
yeah,
So if you post your learnings on Twitter and tag us using hashtag CNH and hashtag Kate Smashers, then we will be able to keep a track of your learnings, and after that we'll decide whom to give the special swag kit. So yeah, head over to Twitter as fast as possible.
definitely. Please have a note of what Kiran said. Please tag us while posting your learnings today, and so that we can keep a track of it. And after this entire boot camp is over, we will search for your hashtags. We'll search for your exciting learnings, and it will also encourage us how we could impact your life and how you were able to learn about these stuffs. Okay, so all right, and I really hope that you have enjoyed the session. We will improve more on our side if possible. If there are any issues which you face during the session or on the in the entire process of onboarding, please let us know in our DMs or any doubt channels. We will actually handle those as well. And there were people who couldn't join due to the rooms where due to which people couldn't join. Actually, the rooms were flooded. Like we actually never anticipated this kind of crowd. Like people are crazy. Like people are really excited about us and this total seminar. So um I will actually look into this matter, and the next session we will conduct, there will be no room or no capping for the uh, attendees, so that everyone can actually join and enjoy. So with that being said, let's wrap it off. I guess it's that's all from my side. If there's anything more to say or ask, then please go ahead. Otherwise, this is Ronit signing out.
Yes, I am saying it yet again. Please post about your learnings on Twitter and don't forget to tag us. We would really like to see you what you learned from this session. Yes, the resources will be shared, the PPT of the speaker will be shared, and the post event recording will also be shared. So keep a watch on our socials. Stay tuned. Happy Sunday, folks.